In an infinite universe, or even in a finite but unbounded one that is vast enough, every possible arrangement of matter must eventually occur. That statement is not poetic exaggeration. It is the sober consequence of mathematics. If you have infinite rolls of the cosmic dice, then every possible combination of results will eventually appear. Every possible configuration of atoms, every possible sequence of events, every possible version of you. Somewhere out there in the immeasurable expanse of space, there might be another Earth. Not just vaguely similar, but shockingly identical. Another Earth with oceans and continents and clouds drifting across the same blue sky. Another Earth with the same cities, the same languages, the same people. Another Earth with someone exactly like you sitting in a room, reading these exact words, perhaps even feeling the same shiver of wonder and unease that you feel now. And perhaps not just one duplicate, but countless duplicates. In some versions of this endless cosmic repetition, the differences may be trivial: a different book on your shelf, a different word chosen in a conversation. In others, the changes could be profound. You pursued another career, you married another partner, you lived an entirely different life. This is not science fiction. It is the inevitable implication of an edgeless cosmos. If space goes on forever, then every possible arrangement of matter is realized somewhere. The only question is how far away these alternate realities lie. Cosmologists have even dared to put numbers to this impossible idea. Some calculations suggest that a perfect duplicate of you, sitting in a perfectly identical room, might exist about 10 to the power of 10 to the power of 120 meters away. That number is so staggeringly huge that even trying to imagine it borders on absurdity. Writing it out would require more particles than exist in the observable universe. And yet, in the language of infinity, such distances are still just addresses, still just coordinates on the endless map of reality. You might recoil at this suggestion, thinking it absurd, feeling it must be some trick of reasoning. But pause for a moment and consider the alternative. If the universe has edges, if there is truly a boundary to all of existence, then what lies beyond that boundary? What exists outside of everything cannot be empty space, for empty space is still something, still part of the universe. It cannot be nothing, because nothing is not a place, not a location one can point to. Nothing cannot be outside anything, because outside itself is already a spatial concept. The very idea of an edge to the universe collapses under its own contradictions, producing paradoxes with no resolution. And yet the human mind craves edges, longs for boundaries because they make things comprehensible. To imagine a universe without limits is to enter a wilderness without maps, and our species is addicted to maps. We want to imagine standing at the edge of everything, gazing out into nothingness. We want the universe to be like a country that can, in principle, be explored fully, mapped, cataloged. We want to know its borders, its scope, its shape, but the universe is under no obligation to give us what we want. It simply is what it is. And what it appears to be is something far stranger, far larger, far more magnificent than anything your ancestors could have imagined. When they first tilted their heads back and gazed at the stars, when you step outside tonight and see the darkness pierced by distant suns, you are not looking at the inside of some great cosmic dome. You are looking out into a reality that might stretch on forever, not merely big, but possibly infinite. Not expanding into emptiness, but creating more of itself from nothing. You are a finite being floating in an infinite ocean. You are a temporary arrangement of atoms contemplating eternity. You are a small island of awareness drifting in a sea without shores. But that sea is not static, it grows larger every second. It's not by conquering emptiness, but by generating more space, more stage, more room for existence to unfold. The universe is not only older than you imagine, it is stranger than you can imagine. It is not just bigger than you think. It is fundamentally alien to your everyday experience. The edge of the universe is not a place you could visit, not a cliff you could walk to. The edge is the edge of a concept that never applied to reality in the first place. It is the ghost of a metaphor that was always too small to hold the truth. And the truth is this: you live in a cosmos that is either infinite in extent or finite, but boundless in nature, spanning not into emptiness, but through the continuous creation of space-time itself. Within this edgeless expanse resides not only everything that is, but potentially everything that could be. This is your universe. This is your home, stage upon which all existence unfolds. has no edge because it needs no edge, because it is everything. The question, then, is not what lies beyond the edge. The real question is whether you can live with the magnificent terror of knowing there is no beyond. No edge, no outside, only an endless, edgeless, ever-expanding reality of which you are a part and which you can never fully comprehend. The story of the universe begins with a paradox that should have warned us from the start that we were dealing with something beyond human comprehension. 13.8 billion years ago, there was no time, there was no space, no matter, no energy, no light, no darkness. Because even darkness is something, and there was nothing. Not the nothing you feel when you close your eyes, not the nothing of a pitch-black room, not even the nothing of a laboratory vacuum. This was true nothingness, a complete absence, a lack so absolute that even the concepts of presence and absence did not exist. And then, in a moment that cannot be called a moment, because time itself had not yet been born, everything began. Not from something, but from nothing. Not at some location, but everywhere at once. Not with an explosion, but with the sudden appearance of space-time itself, materializing like a dream deciding to become real. In that first unimaginably small fraction of a second, if we can call it a second, when seconds had not yet been invented, the universe underwent a transformation so radical, so complete, so beyond anything your mind has evolved to handle, that every miracle in every religious text seems mundane by comparison. Scientists call it inflation, but the word feels pitifully inadequate. Inflation is what happens to a balloon when you blow air into it. Inflation is what happens to prices in a struggling economy. What happened to the early universe was nothing like that. Imagine the entire cosmos compressed to a size smaller than a proton, then suddenly expanding to the size of a grapefruit in less time than it takes light to cross the width of an atomic nucleus. This was not gentle expansion. This was reality convulsing. This was existence seizing itself into a new state. And here is the detail that should make your skin crawl with awe. During this period of cosmic inflation, space itself expanded faster than the speed of light. That cosmic speed limit, the one we are told nothing can break, was shattered, but not by matter racing through space. By space itself. Space moved through space. Space stretched itself at velocities that mocked Einstein's most careful equations. The universe was breaking its own rules before it had even finished writing them.